Hello, it's Barbara around the WNBA. So we had a win. Yes, we had a game this evening. This was sort of a battle, and the Fever won out. Let's take a look at the box scores. But before I do that, there are a couple things, two things actually, I want to go over that I think are really important pertaining to this win. Very important. Box scores. We have It was 94-86. And in the first quarter, Indiana was 27, Seattle 24. Second quarter, Indiana 18, Seattle 15. Third quarter, Indiana 30, Seattle 19. Fourth quarter, Indiana 19, Seattle 28. Now you see how in that third quarter, Indiana really pushed, and they were playing good defense and offense, and they were able to hold Seattle to where they were. That was good because in the fourth quarter is when Seattle got nervous, they got worried, and it was time to pick it up. It was time for them to score some points. Hence, we have 19 Indiana and 28 Seattle. What I would have liked to see is 28 Indiana and 19 Seattle in the fourth quarter. Because that just tells me that Indiana began to make some mistakes and they stopped pushing. They stopped defending because Seattle was able to make points, right? We have, for the Indiana, we have Howard made 4 points. Aaliyah Boston made 31 points. Bravo to her, 31 points. She played so well tonight. She was awesome in the paint. She was awesome in passing the ball. She was awesome of being where she was supposed to be. Although at one point in the game, she did move away from the person that she was defending too soon, which gave up a couple of points. But, hey, overall, she had an excellent game. Mitchell scored 26 points. Hull scored 15 points. Caitlin scored 6 points. And Dantes scored 10 points. Cunningham scored 2 points. Now, let me just say this too, that for 3-pointers, we have Kelsey, 5 of 7. Hull, 2 of 4. Caitlin tried 6, got 0. Dantes, 1 of 2. So we have that as far as the 3-point shooting. Now, Seattle Storm. Nneka had 16 points. Gabby had 11. Ezzy had 9. Skylar had 22. Erica Wheeler had 20. Clark had 2. Dominique had 4. And Zaya had 2. As far as 3-pointers, Nneka had 1 of 4. Ezzy had 1 of 1. Skylar had 1 of 5. Erica had 5 of 10. What does that tell you? What does that tell you about this game? What does it show you about this game? For one thing, I realized that coming into this game, a couple things here. You have the Storm coming off of some big wins, pretty much. And you have the Indiana Fever coming off of some losses. Okay? So the Indiana Fever were hungry to win. And they were hungry to practice whatever was laid out and whatever they needed to do to win. They didn't want to have a third loss. I don't blame them. And they did what they needed to do in order for that not to happen. And they played well. In terms of Seattle, I think they were a little tired. They didn't play the way they usually do. And had they played up to par like they usually do, they would have gotten more points and had more stops. However, the game fell to Indiana Fever, and I'm happy about that. All right. The two things that I want to talk about is this. One is that despite Caitlin making probably the least amount of points she's made since she's been in the WNBA, probably since last season, I was surprised at how her composure was tonight. Her composure was that of lightness. Her composure was that of, just taking it in stride. She wasn't getting all freaked out. She wasn't getting all messed up. She wasn't, she didn't look as frustrated as she has looked in the past. So that's one thing I want to say is that she actually made good use of herself in other ways, whether that be assisting, whether that be getting the points that she could get, whether that be distracting, her opponents, whatever it was, she did what she could do for her teammates. And so I respect her for that. And that was spot on. Spot on. And I'm glad that she was taking it lightly. I saw her smile a couple of times. She crashed out a couple of times. And, maybe certain fouls weren't called, but it wasn't a big deal. And that is good because that tells me that her confidence will come back up. Her ability to shoot will come back up. And that's what I'm happy about. Now, the second thing, this is important here. The second thing. The second thing I want to talk about is this. What we saw is the teammates of Caitlin Clark stepping up. Now, granted, in the first half, maybe in the first quarter, I was a little bit curious about, Kelsey because sometimes she does a lot of running around, which is helpful in some ways, but sometimes it's almost like she's avoiding the shot. Kelsey, I believe, would do well to, if she has a 3 point, you know, good look, she should take it. No hesitation. Just take it. Same thing with Caitlin right now in this slump. Even though she might miss, she needs to take the 3 point shots because that way her confidence is going to be, up, and also she might hit them. The worst thing to do is stop shooting. The worst thing to do is try to avoid the bucket. So I appreciate that even though she didn't make the threes she attempted some threes. And I appreciate that as the game went on, what we found in Kelsey was that she was able to stop hesitating and just make the 3 points, the 3 pointer shots. She stopped hesitating, and I like that because especially when you're hot, you take the shot. You just take the shot, and the shot would tell you whether you've cooled off or whether you're still hot. But if you're known to be a 3 point shooter and you know your spots, you have the spots, you see the clear shot, you take the shot. No hesitation. And so that was good. And with Boston stepping up, her and Caitlin were right on the same wavelength, as well as she was on the wavelength with her other teammates because they also assisted her. She made the points in the paint to get the bucket. And so what I saw tonight, and this is the point that I want to make, I saw teamwork. I saw teamwork. I saw communication. I saw thoughtfulness. I saw, they needed to pull together as a team. And I saw a improvement on consistency, an improvement on defending. I saw an improvement on her teammates not hesitating. Now again, it wasn't perfect and it wasn't always pretty, but they did an excellent job tonight coming back from two losses to win over the Seattle Storm. Seattle Storm was just a rain shower. And as quick as it came, as quick as it ended. Simple as that. The Fever are definitely back, I believe. And you know what too? They played with pace. They weren't as quick in transition as they have been in the past, but they played with pace. They didn't let Seattle disrupt their pace. They didn't let Seattle disrupt them at all. Now that's important to note. Now, mind you, yes, Seattle made buckets. They did that, and the Fever's defense could have been better, but they did not disrupt the Fever's flow, and that's why they won the game. So the Fever came in there with a bit more aggressiveness. They came in there with good defense. They came in there with confidence. They came in there eager to win. They wanted to have a battle. They weren't backing down. This is why they won. The Bonner thing. Let's talk about DeWanna Bonner. There's a lot of talk around whether or not she's coming back, whether or not she will be with the Indiana Fever at all, ever again. I still don't know the answer to that question. There are a lot of things that point to perhaps she's not. And people are still wondering what's going on. And we may not never ever know what went on during this period in her life. It's personal. But the key thing here is what big will they pick, will they choose to replace her? Or will they give up on the big and call back Eri, the point guard, despite not having another big right now? Because Dantes is going to be gone for a couple of weeks, a few weeks. And Timpson has not been playing. Turner, she can play, but it's sort of like on and off. So what will they do? What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts about what they're going to do about the DeWanna Bonner situation in terms of what the team needs? We all love, Eri McDonald for sure. We all want her to be on the Fever for sure. That's no doubt. But what does the team need right now in terms of the positions? Let me know also what you think about the game tonight and my 2 points about how the team was working together and they looked pretty oiled, and how Caitlin didn't seem as frustrated at herself. She was lighthearted and she still helped out the team the best way she could. What are your thoughts on all of these things? Let me know in the comments. And like always, I invite you to subscribe to my channel. If you like the content that I'm given, if you like my take on things, my thoughts about things, my perspective, then subscribe. If you've come to my channel here and there, it might be time to subscribe. So I welcome you. Oh, and one more thing. Let me know if you want me to go live. I'm figuring that out, trying to figure that out right now, how I'm going to do that. But I'm willing to do that if you want to, you know, watch along with the game and talk, chat about how it's going or what's going on with different games. I'll, probably start doing that. So let me know in the comment section. And a special thing for one more person, a special thing for Boston. Boston, you played so good tonight. You were spot on. You did things that were just, spotless and like was just right on track. So I appreciate your efforts. I appreciate your production. I appreciate what you're doing on the court. I appreciate what you had to put into your growth process and how you've grown over the years you've been with the team. It was phenomenal watching you this evening. So thank you for that. We were definitely entertained, for sure. Okay. Again, like always, I'm Barbara around the WNBA. Talk to you soon. Go Fever. Peace.